Hey, what's going on, Access and Allies community? This is Weezy here with another video on Allies play and about the middle of the game, so mid Allies play, and some strategies and some general things, some tips to help people to improve their Allies play, as I'm always learning as well. So right now I'm ranked 7th. I got a 92% win rate. Last couple seasons I was ranked 2nd overall as Allies. And this season, I'm gunning for that #1 spot as we're about halfway through the season as a whole. So I'm just focusing on Allies this season. Season 11, I will go for Axis. Okay, so let's jump into one of our games. And let me take a look at this game. This game is dead even, and I'm playing against Centered. Okay, I'm here with the game against Centered, and it's dead even, 249, 249. He or she is a strong opponent, but let's take a look at the history of the game to start. Germany has been very conservative, buying 13 infantry round 1, and then I think finally in round 5, my opponent bought a bomber, and then we're up to round 8 and more ground. So pretty much all ground with the exception of one bomber buy. Japan did the meta buy, or one of the meta buys, 3 infantry, 3 transports, followed by a little bit different of a buy, 1 transport, 4 artilleries, and 3 infantry. My opponent did something noteworthy here as far as non-com move. On round 3, moved everything to Burma, stacked it with infantry and artillery, and it was very tough to counter. So my opponent took took India in round 4. All right, so some things I want to go over in general. I do not think, in most cases, I don't think it's good to go for India. And why is that? It's because it's exactly this point right here. It's round 8, and Persia is backlogged. So I'm stifling his attack in India, and I can just reinforce. What have I done to reinforce? When he got cheeky and moved Germany into Ukraine to dead zone Caucasus, and I couldn't reinforce that anymore, I just went backdoor and sent the units to Kazakh. From Kazakh, they were able to move down to Persia and reinforce there. So I can pretty much hold them off for the foreseeable future. It'll be interesting what these 14 infantry and these 4 infantry do, but if I can't hold off units here, then I can dead zone Kazakh as well. I also have the Caucasus dead zone. I have 22 Russian units here, 13 here, about 15 here, and about 10 here. It all equates to about 60 units, and then he can bring in 17 plus 8, 25, plus 2 fighters. 27 stands no chance against 50. It's also important to set up a multinational defense because it looks cool. Intimidates your opponent. They look at the board, they see a bunch of colors, and they get scared. So, no, but the real reason is UK can punch a hole in Germany, and then if you got some US tanks or some Russian tanks, which sadly I do not right here, but nonetheless I'm doing really well, you can have those US tanks punch through and attack a nice fat German stack, and especially if you've accumulated a lot of air, you can really combine tanks with air and take out huge chunks of Germany. So I've been trading UK units for German ones effectively. So I traded the Caucasus with UK, and then I just traded in my last round. I traded destroyed 5 infantry and lost 3 in Northwest Europe, and then I destroyed 3 and lost 2. So I just wiped out 8 of his infantry at the cost of 5. And that's really, really good. If I had to set up the optimal recipe for trading units, it would be UK for German ones at the top of the list. And then another good trades are you sprinkle in some US troops and you trade out Japanese ones along the perimeter of Moscow. And that helps greatly because it will boost Russian income while also simultaneously preserving Russian units. Since India fell, I felt like it was necessary to bump up to 4 UK transports, and I usually go up to 4 UK transports if the following conditions are met. First, if India falls, which it did in round 4, Next, if Corellia opens up, I'll go for that. And lastly, if UK has equal to or greater than 24 ICPs, I will have those 4 transports. And we can see that Africa is contested, so the UK income stays relatively high. And it's important to contest Africa as well because we know that Japan can get very rich by going after Africa. So you always want to make sure you shuttle some troops down there to combat Africa. It's a nice delicate balance because you don't want to overcommit. So I see he has 1 transport here, so I can simply just match 2 infantry a turn versus his 2 infantry a turn. Sending any more than that is pretty much overkill, and they could be used in a European theater. I also want you to take a look at where his Japanese bombers position. So this is a pretty cool tactic. He can threaten C-Zone 10, so I just move my troops or my ships transports up to C-Zone 1 and ferry him across. He can also reach 1, 2, 3 C-Zone 23 as well, so I have to provide cover. I like having my US ships in C-Zone 13 off the coast of Morocco, because this allows me to threaten Italy. He has to stay honest and keep some defense here. He wouldn't have to keep a defense here if he knew he can wipe out my ships for a very big profit. Let's take a look at this option of how I go through the med, and let's examine how I set up an effective med chuck with only 2 ships and 2 fighters. So the first thing is relatively simple. Send over 2 infantry. The next turn, do the same. Then I can grab these 2 infantry, attack Italy, and hopefully wipe that out. If not, the following turn, I can grab 2 more infantry, hit Italy again, although he'll probably beef it up enough to where I can't. But I can also land in Southern Europe and be annoying and force him to trade in another territory. A smaller detail yet important one is the position of my US bomber. This bomber I like to keep towards the center of the board, kind of like the same concept with chess. The bomber can strike in Union of South Africa. It can also hit Italy and land back in Libya. My number 1 spot I want to keep the bomber is the Caucasus because it can help with hitting Italy in most cases. Another good spot is Kazakh because look, his troops or his ships are spread apart. So he's got some ships that are down C-Zone 33 and others that are going towards Pearl and threatening the US. So if I bring this bomber over here, now he's got to bring another surface ship to help protect. But also take a look at the Russian sub that's made its way all the way across over here off the coast of Thailand and now can hit these transports. If this sub can kill the destroyer and sub, which aren't really the best odds for him, I mean he's got pretty good odds to hold it but not the best, and I can kill his 4 transports, it's pretty much game over. So I'll be taking that risk there.